to the Web Talk Show. Today, we're talking about 7 ways you can use Claude or any other LLM for that matter to boost your company's SEO. This is going to be a fun chat because there seems to be a generalized notion that yes, we need to do SEO for our businesses, but sometimes it just feels like too much of a hassle. Even if you find what you're going to write about, even if you are keen to write those posts, then there's the whole proofreading aspect, and will people actually like it, and do I have the right images, and how am I going to publish all of these if I shouldn't publish them all at once? Well, I'm going to talk about all that today with 7 ways that you can use an LLM for your benefit. In this case, for SEO, but in reality, now AI search as well. Because remember, it's no longer just let me try to rank on Google, it's let me try to rank in AI search, which means if somebody's searching for something on ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, that you and your business appear as one of the options to provide a solution for whatever that person is looking for instead of your competitor. So let's get into it. If this is the first time you're joining us, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, etc. And if you're listening on Spotify, please give us a rating if you like the show as well, and make sure to follow to get notified about any new episode coming up. If you have any questions during the show, please make sure to drop them in the chat. I will look at them. If I see them live, I'll answer live. And if not, I'll answer after the fact once we're done with the broadcast. Now, let's get into it. So 7 ways you can use Claude to boost your SEO. And if you don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. Basically, you have a website. People can search online for keywords or phrases or questions, right? That's most of what people search for. And you may or may not appear in the search results. That is SEO. You want to appear in those search results. So traditionally, you would maybe add metadata or keywords or things like that to your pages so that search engines would find your pages and understand that they're relevant and then show them to people. But then search engines just got better and better and better, more advanced. I wouldn't say better, just necessarily more advanced and good at determining if somebody's trying to game the system, etc. And so now it's a lot of having to do with not just that you have keywords, but more in-depth things like, is that website talking about the subject matter that's relevant for what that person is saying? Are they using the right language in that industry? Are they considered as someone who should be listened to? Do they have incoming links from other websites that are reputable? And so there's all this like SEO juice that people call in the industry, where a site that's new might not have any, and as even if you have so much very good content, you might not appear in search results because simply it's new, it's not indexed, or even if it's indexed, you won't appear high in the results because there might be a lot of other competitors that have more time in the industry, that have a lot more links coming into them, that are considered more authoritative in the particular space. So how do you overcome this? Well, content is a great way to do it. You don't want to do just putting out information that just talks about what you sell, but rather information that will actually help your client or your potential client. So if you have a service-based business, maybe you build roofs for houses, or you put on new roofs for homes, or you are a plumber or an electrician, or you have a cookie baking business or an auto shop, etc. Instead of just talking about your services, if you create content, and this has been known for many years, if you create content around it, content that's educational in nature, that will help people who are searching for the issue, that will rank higher than just packages and pricing. So if you start, let's say, take the auto shop, for example, if you start creating content about oil changes, what's the risk of not changing my oil? Why should I change my oil? How often should I change my oil? Those are the types of queries that people do. Maybe they see the light and they're like, oh, I don't know. And they go on Google, they go on ChatGPT, and they ask, is it okay if I wait a little bit to change my oil, or things like that? And so ChatGPT or Google will say, no, don't wait, or how long ago did it happen, etc. And it might give them additional results. And so if you are creating content that helps people understand the reason they should act now, in this case the oil change, because it will really affect the engine if the oil is not lubricated and it could just break it completely, then it sort of gives you an incentive to actually go and change the oil. So for every industry, you can create content that aligns with what your potential client needs. And if you create content around everything you do, it is just a knowledge base or repository of content that people can go to and find important information, relevant information. And so if you create that content, I'll get to why this is important. Google and other search engines and even AI start to see or rank your website a little higher because of this content. And then people start finding it, they start reading. And of course, on those pages, you can have upsells, you can have a chatbot, you can have things where after they've read, now they trust you. They might see, oh, wow, they're in my city. Let me just go with them instead of someone else. So that sort of thing is very helpful. And you've probably seen it before when you search for something and you find the business and you realize that that business has given you some value before, you might go with them versus their competitor. And this is why reviews work the same way. So if you do this, then we all know it works. There's no question about it. It works. Now, creating the content itself, that's another story, because we're not all writers and we might not have all the tools to do the research to see what we should write about. We might have writer's block, and even if we're good at writing, we might say, oh, but I don't know what should I start with. And that's why conversations with clients are always recommended. So remember your past conversations with clients. What did they ask you the last time? Or if you own a shop or of any kind, a service business, just go down, speak with customers that are coming in, have them ask you questions, and that will give you an idea of what people are wondering, what people want to know. And this helps all around. So that's one way to do it. You do it physically. If you have a physical business, that's the best way to just start out, because there's no tool, no complexity, no algorithms or anything like that. You just go and talk to people. You'll get a good idea of what you can write about. Now, let's say you want to take it a step further and say, okay, so I want to write a lot of content because they've told me content is king. You want to have a lot of content for this whole AI revolution, etc., so that you start appearing in the results, etc. So how do you do that? Well, getting into the 7 ways you can use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or anything like that to boost SEO, let's start with research. So research is really important because the internet gives us so much valuable information that we take for granted, or we just are ignorant to the fact that it's there. Case in point, Reddit. Reddit is a platform where people go in and they have topics and subtopics, subreddits, right? So there's subreddits for practically everything. And people go on there and it's like a forum type thing. People ask questions, people comment, and other people comment on that. And there's these huge, like 600 post threads of different things. So you can go on Reddit manually, just go visit Reddit, it's free. And you can learn a lot of what people are looking for in your particular industry. You can just go there and you can find a subreddit for like, I don't know, learning management or auto shops or airplane detailing, whatever you want, it's going to be there. And so you can go in and see what people are having trouble with, what their issues are, which companies they don't like, and you can get a lot of ideas also, like what they don't like about those companies, and maybe you want to make sure that you provide the opposite. And so it's just a great way to find important things. Now, Reddit recently added their own sort of advertising, reverse advertising kind of thing, where you can get access to a lot of things, which is really neat, but not the topic of this conversation. But what I recommend is, now we're talking about LLMs, is open Claude. That's what I use, but it could be ChatGPT. We use that as well. And you can have it, especially with their extended thinking or their research tools. You can enable that and then tell it, so I have an auto shop in XYZ city, and I want to know what people are mostly concerned about, or what their main pain points are when deciding what auto shop to take their car to, or whether they should go to a dealer versus a third-party auto shop, something like that. So you do that, and what the agent, the LLM, will do is it will take that and then it will start doing 30, 40, 50 searches around the internet looking for what people have searched for and what their pain points are. And you can be more specific. You can actually say things like, go to Reddit and find subreddits related to this, and go to, I don't know, TripAdvisor, if that makes sense for your industry, or go to Trustpilot, etc. And so you can give it which sites to go to, and it will go and find the information for you. It'll take a while, and then it'll come back and give you all that information. You can even ask it for trending keywords, what people are searching for, things like that. And so once it gives you that list, you're pretty far ahead, because now you have this list of ideas that you can start to work with. So that's number one. That's where you can start off, and you don't need it for anything else. That's good, because now you have a solid base to grab a spreadsheet and start just saying, okay, so I'm going to write about this, and then you take your time and you write it. But let's say you want to give it a boost a little faster. So number two is you can have it, once you have all that, you can tell the LLM, Claude in this case, let's just use that as an example, help me outline the posts that I need, and then tell it what you want it to do. So if your main purpose is to grow locally, to be like the expert, the main business for what you do in your city, and you can say, I want to be known as the best electrician for San Antonio, right? And it will help you draft a schedule of sorts where it can tell you, well, you should write 10 posts with question format, and you should write other 10 posts about this, and then you should write another 10 posts about this other thing, etc. And so it will allow you to have this organization of what the topics should be to achieve the goal that you're looking for. So that's really good. Now, after that, once you have the outline, you can start writing. But again, what happens if you have writer's block, if you're not very good at this, etc.? Well, then, in that case, you can have it help you draft. Okay, so I'm not talking about having the AI just do everything for you, because as we've seen, if you just create a bunch of AI generated posts, it might not really help in search engines unless it's very well done. So the caveat there. So you don't want to just have it do everything and blindly put it out. You can, and it might work depending on your industry, right? But you're competing against tons of other people that might be doing the same thing. And so yes, while you can just have it do everything for you, ideally you'll want it to do deeper research for each of the topics and have stats and things like that. So it's actually something that makes sense, that will be helpful to people, or spin it in a way where it's helpful for your particular audience. Then that's okay. It's just, you don't just want to fill the internet with AI generated content, which is already getting filled anyway. But just so you know, that might not work if you just do it like that. But if it just helps you draft a post, so it starts, right? It can help you do the outline, like this section, this section, this section, and then sort of the copy. Then you can go in, and either you or someone on your team, you can just hand them that and be like, okay, so we're going to create these posts. This is the structure. Just go with it. And then now a human can write the actual content, but it's already structured. It already has the stats, etc. And it'll make the process way easier. After that, number 4 is, let's say you don't want to do this step because you just want it to be like completely human made. That's perfect. Then write it yourself, or have someone write it, and just have it help you proofread. So no rewriting, just ask it, hey, can you please go through it and check grammar and spelling and make sure I'm not making some very basic mistakes in writing. And it can help you do things like that. So something where you would traditionally use Grammarly or a tool like that, you can use the LLMs to help you do that as well. So you save some time there, even maybe some money if you don't have access to those other tools. So that's good too. Now, you can also have it generate images for you. So traditionally, you would go in and you would buy stock imagery, or you would take pictures in your local shop, etc. Obviously, if you have a local business, by all means, please take pictures. Not everyone has that opportunity. But if it's a service-based business where you can't because of privacy, or it doesn't make sense for you to take pictures, or your clients are far away, whatever, in that case, you would traditionally go to Adobe Stock or FreePic or Shutterstock or anything like that, and you would buy stock imagery. Nowadays, you can generate imagery. So either the LLMs themselves, ChatGPT, can do this, or even FreePic now has their generation thing. You could just have it, well, this is what I'm talking about, generate the images for me. It'll generate them for you, and then you could put them there. And since they're generated, they won't be the same image that's everywhere with the woman with the bakery behind her, right? so that's another plus of these tools, that you can generate very accurate imagery that maps to whatever you're talking about, and it'll be unique. So in that scenario, I think it's very good to use LLMs to generate imagery. Once you have your images, now the problem becomes, how do I publish all these? It's going to be a hassle. Even if I have everything, like if someone came to me, here are all your blog posts for the next 30 days, I might be overwhelmed. Like, yeah, okay, so now what? I have to go copy and paste this into WordPress or whatever web platform you use and publish them, and consider what date I should do and what keywords to add and what categories. This is the other part that you can do with the LLM. So actually recently I was doing this just yesterday. I had a similar scenario where I had a lot of blog posts that I had as a queue that I needed to publish. And so if you have something like WordPress, which the majority of the internet does, if not, don't worry, this will work for any CMS. Or if it's even easier if you don't have a CMS nowadays, if you had just code, because these tools could just output the code for you for the pages and you're done. But let's say you have WordPress, for example, which is very big. How do you do it? Well, you can just go literally Claude Code. This is my preference. You download Claude Code. It's a CLI tool, a command line tool, but you can use it with Cursor or whatever. If you're developing websites or any kind, you'll have something like this, right? So basically, and then you can do it on the web version as well. I just like doing it in Claude Codes because you have a little more space with the context, because you can have separate files and it doesn't have to read all the files at the same time and keep them in the context. Technical stuff, anyway, you'll have better flexibility just by using a Claude Code, in my opinion. So the way this would work is you can set up, let's say you have all your files there in your folder, all right? And this is what I did yesterday. And then I told Claude, hey, I've got these posts. I need to post them on the blog. I just don't want to go and do them all manually. So I came back and it said, well, you could use the REST API. And I said, okay, sure. So I went in, created a user on WordPress with an admin application password. This is something you can do on WordPress directly. It's part of core. And it opens up access to the REST API. Of course, be careful. Ask someone if you don't know what I'm talking about. Don't do this at home if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that basically allows you to talk to your site via the REST API. Yes, now you can use MCP. It's a new thing. There's a plugin for that, etc. That's even more technical. Let's not get into that. You can just use the REST API for something like this. Why? Because the tools sort of, I mean, it's simple enough. Anyway, it told me, okay, so just give me the URL of your site, and then I'll just need whatever credentials that it asked me for. So I gave it that, and then it went in, did a test directly because it's command line. So it just does a code request, pulls it back. It's like, yeah, I created a test post as a draft. It works. We're good. Like, awesome. Perfect. So I have these 20 posts that I need to publish. What now? And so it's like, yeah, sure. I can create a Python script. So it creates a Python script to automatically try to convert all of them from Markdown to HTML and put them on there, create the posts, and add everything on them, including images, etc. And so it went and did it, and it worked, and like just from the command line. And so this gives you, if you haven't seen this, it's just, it opens up so much potential, because now once you did that, you have a lot of flexibility. Now you can say, which I did, by the way, I would like to have you look at all the posts from the last month, for example, and see how they're similar, and create a category list, a potential category list or tag list. So it will analyze all the content, because now I can read directly from the site via the API. It'll analyze the content and it will generate the categories for you. And then you can have it go and categorize everything, put the tags on and everything. And then you can say, I want you to also create a script that will go in and it will understand the different posts that are similar. And I want you to have it add links, internal links from your different posts to the other different posts. So if you have ever done this manually, it takes a long time. So having it just go in, and you can be drinking your coffee or tea or orange juice or whatever you want while it's working, is just a glimpse into the future. It's amazing because it will save you so much time in these manual, repeatable tasks that don't require a lot of brain power, but that need to be done. And so it's just, it's amazing what can be done. So if you were wondering, how can I boost my SEO? How can I appear more on search results? I don't have the time, etc. These 7 things that we've been talking about. And if you joined us sort of at midway, go to the beginning. There's going to be a recording on YouTube for the whole thing, and then on X as well, on LinkedIn, and on the podcast, of course, on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. I'll talk about 7 things that you can use these LMs to help you both do the research, outline, draft, help you with grammar, generate images, automatically publish and automatically categorize everything such that your site can then start ranking for some of this stuff. And it's not about just the ranking, it's literally helping people, because what if you're in business to help people achieve something, right? You have a solution to a pain point that they have. And so if you provide a lot of content that allows them to find you via search, via AI search, via whatever, it allows you to create rapport with them without have to be actually with them. And it places your business in a higher position, both in search ranking as well as in people's attention. And it's overall very, very good, something that you should do. We've talked about content a lot. So if you can create content, whether it's blogs, you can then transform that into a podcast, or you can do live streams like this one, or you can just create videos or shorts. And everything we've talked about, this is a little meta, but everything I've talked about today, if you build that, now you have a whole repository of content that then you can ask the LLM and say, hey, by the way, I want to create some video shorts because they tell me I should do video shorts. I don't know what that is, but I want to do them. Then it already has all your content, and it could just go in and be like, okay, here's a script for your next 10 short videos that you can just record on your phone, put on YouTube, TikTok, etc. So ton of things you can do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. And if you aren't already, please like and subscribe, ring the bell or whatever on YouTube if you're there, and subscribe on Spotify. Leave us a review on Spotify. I really appreciate that as well if you're listening to the podcast itself. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or the comments, and I'll be sure to reply. You can always DM me as well directly on LinkedIn or X or where you find this content. All right. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.